Okay, now we're talking. So towards the end of the second chapter, Gita Reflections, because this is not a sermon, this is not a lecture, this is not anything other than simply a reflection. I sit in front of you as a mirror, for example, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'll tell you the truth as it is, the good and the bad and the ugly as it is. But using the Gita as the mirror, the Gita will tell us about ourselves, like who we are, as I was saying during the Dhyan, celebrating you, essentially your goodness, your truth, and the purity in you. And by you, I also include me, all of us individually. No need to change, no need to, the whole intentions, we have to go back to our original self. And that's what the Gita does, that because there's so much conditioning on us. Yesterday, we had a session in which I was saying that I think it's important to say here also, that there's the condition and there is the conditioning, right? Conditions are circumstances. And then conditioning is just sanskar kehte hum log. Just say if the air is outside is hot, we can condition the air and make it cool. If the air outside is cool, we can turn on the heater and make it hot. So one is circumstance. Kaisi paristhiti mein, what are we thrown into? What's my spouse like? What are my children like? What's my job? What's my boss like? What's my neighbor like? What's today's traffic like? What's the weather like? All that, right? Those are conditions that we cannot change. We cannot change forces of nature. We cannot change traffic. We cannot change anything outside. What we do control, what we can change is the conditioning, right? Like how we want to receive it, how we want to think about it, how we want to. No, I'm good as far as sitting. I'm trying to make sure that the view is okay. In fact, Sanjeev Bhai and others, I'm going to turn off my video. That way, I don't have to keep shifting, or you don't have to be annoyed by the light above me. You can just listen to it, and just hear it. So, the glory of the Gita is that it reconditions it. Like we've gotten like the wrong conditioning until now, like as wrong as it can be, fundamentally wrong, very, very wrong. Which is that I'm the body. First of all, the biggest wrong conditioning is that I am the body, and then within that, I'm a woman, or I'm a man, or I'm Indian, or I'm a Hindu, or a Christian, and then within that, the mind that my mind. Well, you're all Indian women, presumably, but your mind thinks differently, your mind thinks differently, and your mind thinks differently. And you've identified with your mind that I am this body, this is my name, this is what I look like, this is my form. And then my thoughts are like this. So it's a great distraction, very, very different, very, very away from the truth. You're not the body and you're not even the mind. That is the truth. So that's removing the wrong conditioning. And that's bringing back to the original source. And so that's really what the Gita does. I call the Gita the most efficient scripture. You can go through the Vedas, you can go through the Puranas, and Brahma Sutras, and Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Sankhya, all of those different Shat Shastra, you may have heard, like six categories of scriptures. Not six scriptures, six types, six categories of scriptures. So Puranas, for example, is one category, right? Puran, Bhagavad Puran, Skanda Puran, all these Harivansha Puran and Padma Puran, Garud Puran, Narad Puran, Devi Puran, Shiva Puran, Vishnu Puran, Puran, right? All those. There's several, but the primary ones are 18. And there's like thousands of verses in each of them. Skanda Puran has 84,000 verses. Each can have 2 lines or 4 lines. Bhagavat, it's like supposed to considered as the biggest, as the most important, not the biggest, but the most glorious Puran. Bhagavat suna hoga na, Bhagavat Puran. 18,000 verses. That's the story of Lord Krishna. It's filled with Krishna's glories and stories and all that.
But yeah, Bhagavat is a biography of Krishna, right?
You could say that, yeah. Before that avatar, after that avatar, and primarily about that, yeah. Entirely, predominantly, primarily focused on Sri Krishna's glories. So yeah, in a way. So it has 18,000. Skanda Puran has 84,000, and there are others like that. How much are we going to read? And they're all in Sanskrit also, right? And Sanskrit is a modular language. It can mean whatever you want it to mean. That's a bada problem ho gaya. How do you want to think about it? Like the sofa, you have kept it here, then you see what's on this side. You can move the sofa, keep it here on this side, then you will see what's on that side. You can move the sofa on the third corner, you'll see what's on that side.
Difference of visualization.
Yeah, the sofa is the same, the comfort is the same, you can all that. But what you see depends on how you use it. So is the Sanskrit language, which is why it has remained fresh and still relevant also. It's like computer programming, sort of, right? So among all that, what are we going to do? We don't have enough time. We also have to do we have to live life and do our duties also. And so in it, this morning we had a Marathi session for folks in India. I was reminding them that Veda Vyasa Muni, who composed the Mahabharata, in which the Gita is found, had also composed many other scriptures, right? Like Brahma Sutra, like complete, filled with gyan, nothing but gyan, nothing but knowledge, pure knowledge of the self. And then, but he also composed Puranas, which are like stories associated with God. And then he wrote the Mahabharata, in which the Gita, and then he categorized the Vedas and all the Vedas themselves are like a mountain. Vedas are not just 4 Vedas, by the way. We think of like Rig Ved, Sam Ved, Yajur Ved, and Atharva Ved. The 3 are primary, Rig, Sam, Yajur. They're mentioned in the Gita also. And whatever the leftovers from those 3, if I had to pick up grain like mitti, sand, 3 fistful, or rai, some like whatever, atta, so some of it will slip through my fingers. If I do 3 of those, there will be some left over. If I pick up that also, that's the 4th. That's like the Atharva Ved, right? Rig, Sam, Yajur, Atharva Ved. So his 4 disciples went to him and said, Vyasmunis, they said, we want to learn the Vedas. So, well, it's not possible for humans to learn. Don't worry about Vedas. No, we want to learn Vedas. So there's a long story that I'll stop because you have to get into Gita. He says, yeah, okay, here, you learn this, you learn this, you learn this. But listen, before you go away, I'm telling you, don't bother learning the Vedas. And in it, Vyasa Muni recites a shlok that he said, Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanya Shastra Vistarehi. This is in Sanskrit. Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padma Vinismrita. Why do you bother reading this and that, understanding? That's fine. First, though, your kartavya, your duty, is that the most beautiful of those all, the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Gita, Sugita, this is the best. Kartavya, Kim Anya. Anya is other, right, in Sanskrit. Kim is why, what purpose? Shastra, scripture, Vistar is like this, expands. What's the purpose? What will you do with learning all the Sanskrit and all the scriptures, and Asava, Vasava, and all that? Kimani Shastra Vistare. Because why? He answers it. All those are written by others and munis and rishis. This one, Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya. This Gita has been spoken by the Lord himself. He casually spoke it in a battlefield. When there was not enough time, he had to really prioritize what was the most important. Because there were people waiting to slay each other, to chop off heads. Swords were out, right? And spears and everything else. There was not enough time. Aisa kaha, waisa kaha, usne phir ye kiya, phir wo kiya, and this story and that story and all that. He had to get right to the point. Arjun, this is the truth. Now go run with it. And he achieves that. And in the end, the same Arjun who was crying in the beginning says, yeah, got it. You're right. Remember it. Understood. Here I come. Right? Ready or not, here I come. And then he picks up his bow and arrow. The same Arjun, Senayor Ubhayor Madhe Ratham Sthapaye Me Achyut. In the first chapter, he said, oh, take it in the middle, and then say, Nayo Daseti Govindam. This is from the first chapter. I shall not fight. I don't want to do this. This is wrong. This is bad. And I cannot. The same Arjun is energized, excited, enthusiastic. He says, Nashto moha smritir labdva karishye vachanam tava. I will do as you say. I'm going to fight the best fight. And he did, right? So to go from like 0 to infinity as if in that quickly, the snap, by the way, a quick tidbit, when we snap our fingers, new research shows that is the quickest human movement that can, even faster than wink of an eye. Look, jhabki lete na, we like when we wink. Even faster than that is a snap. With the latest research shows that I naturally did this. Itne jhatke mein kaam karna hai, like that quickly to go from completely miserable, sad, confused. It says karpanya dosho uparata swabhava prachamitam dharma sammuda cheta yat shreyasyam nishchitam bruttan me shishyasteham shadivam tvam prapannam. I am purposely reciting some of the shlokas so that they fall on your ears, right? Second, and I get the benefit. My ears are the closest to my mouth. I get to hear those also. This was from the second chapter also. He says, I have no idea what to do. This is so screwed up. This is so messed up. Like brothers trying to kill brothers, and I am trying to kill my own grandfather. My guru, how can I do this? Right? All this. So tell me what to do. I surrender to you, meaning I align to you. I will do as you say. Tell me now. So if he could tell him so quickly what the truth is, I don't have more time than that either. As someone like in the US, so we were working here, this efficiency, all this. So I'm trying to impress on your mind that don't go here and there. First focus on the Gita. And so we have begun that several years ago and do this in 3 different languages, English, Hindi, Marathi, because I speak Marathi at home. We do it on Saturday 2 sessions and Sunday 2 sessions, like because the weekdays are work and family and all that. And so hence we call it Gita Reflection. That's all it is. And I will relentlessly try to impress on your mind about the Gita and the Gitakar, Sri Krishna, right? That's my purpose in life. And truly, this is by invitation. This is not for the masses. I will say this is really for the classes. This knowledge, this way, Gita to kisne nahi padhi. Everybody knows about the Gita, right? Everybody has heard about the Gita. Everybody maybe even heard or said or read all that. That's the masses. But this is specifically, I don't invite you. You get invited. I don't know who you are. I didn't know who you are. I don't have your contact information. There was a way found and created for you. This is not about me at all. If it was about me, then there would be no value. This is about him who's in front of you there on the shrine, right? But him and your connection. So essentially, to go back to my original point, we've been wrongly conditioned to think that I'm a human, I'm a body, I'm a woman or a man. This is my name, all that. As far from truth as it can be. All we have to do is leave that conditioning out. And the original conditioning, Sanatan, the original Gurna, right? Satchidananda Swarup. You may have heard the term Sat Chit Ananda, right? Satchidananda, we'll decode that complex idea at some point also. And then hopefully you'll then understand your original nature, like the truth about you, who you actually are, the one that I was celebrating during that also. Then there's no problem in that form. And I say this from my own experience, and I definitely speak my own truth, lived experience, as they say, then there is no problem. If the conditioning is right, conditions do not matter, right? If we know how to process whatever comes our way, if we understand how to receive whatever gifts are thrown our way, then what it is doesn't matter, whether it's hot or cold or wet, or it doesn't matter if you learn. And the Gita does that. Gita teaches that. And all it is essentially bringing us close to our original nature. So we had begun a while back, and we're towards the end of the second chapter, as I call it. This is the best part of the second chapter. Some have called it the best part of the Gita, entire Gita also. Some luminaries like Gandhiji have called this like the best part of the Gita. I kind of sort of agree with it, although I would not go as far as saying that this is it, right? But to each their own, however you think. But nonetheless, it is one of the most powerful portions of the Gita. And so this is because Arjun has asked a question to Krishna saying, well, everything you described about the original nature, about the Satchidananda Swarup, how you're not the body, nothing can kill you, nothing can wet you, nothing can dry you, nothing can blow you, all that. How is that person, the one who has realized, the self-realized person or the God-realized person, in Atma Sakshatkar ho gaya, वो खाते पीते बैठते कैसे हैं? What do they do? What do they eat? What those people? And so Krishna is answering that question in this section that we're in. Now, how do they behave? How do they walk? How do they talk? Are they different? How different are they? Is the question. And so we'd covered last time, Sanjeev will remember, Richadidi, you'll remember that we'd covered, I think, the four or five sloks of that response. And so we then pick up essentially, yeah, I mean, this is 59 shlok. There are 72 shloka verses. Sha comes from Shasta, the controller, the authority. No? Shasan kehte hai, Shasta kehte hai, Shasak kehte hai. That signifies Sha, anywhere it comes, signifies authority. Sharana vihatita, we subdue, we bow down to the authority. The Sha Loka, Shlok. It's coming from the person, the verses are coming from the person who is the authority, the supreme authority over all the lok. Right? The lok would mean people. Lok also means habitable places, planets. Just the Prithvi. This planet, Prithvi, is Bhulok. There are 7 above and 7 below, 14 habitable planets, our scriptures say. Now, space science, my daughter is doing PhD in space research, and I get to learn a lot from her about science. Now, space is recognizing that we think they're saying there's 3 other planets that may have life, or at least have conditions that might have life. And there may be more. And then some scientists said there's actually 7. So the number is growing. Thousands of years ago, our scripture says there's 14. Chauda bhuvan. So now, right? 14. Bhu, bhuva, swaha, maha, jana, tapa, satya. And then you patal, those are the upper regions. And then the 7 lower ones. Atala, vitala, sutala, patala, rasatal, talatal, mahatal. And the bhu is in the middle, bhumi, prithvi, where we are.
So, Bhaiya, are you talking about planets or are you talking about the region above the earth and behind earth?
I'm talking about different planetary systems.
Oh, planetary system.
Right, yeah. So, lok, each of those is called lok, just like people. And so shlok, when we say shlok, verses, it's really coming from the original source, the controller. And so the more attention we pay to the original source of the words, that they grow in significance. Otherwise, words become meaningless. The glory of the Gita is that every word here is chosen very carefully because it's coming from the perfect one, right? Gita came from the perfect one. So every word is perfectly arranged. So, when I said that we'd done 5 shlokas, it wasn't just, 5 sentences or 5 things. These are 5 truths, 5 verbatim dictums from the original source, the descriptions, right? And so there's 72 such shlokas in this the second chapter. But we're close towards the end of it. So 59, today's first shlok, Vishaya vinivartante nirahara sadehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drashtva nivartate. This is in Sanskrit again. So we don't, in these sessions, we don't prioritize reciting. It's not important for us to memorize or say it in particular rhythm or exactly know what it is, how it is. It's more important for us to slow down and process it then and there. We would try not to all just memorize, then at home we can read it and we can think about it. Try to do 1 or 2 or 3 verses. Do it pakka here, right now, right? So that's why we may not make a lot of progress in each session. We may not cover a lot of ground, but if you give it full attention, we will leave with it right then and there. There's no homework then. If you get it right, we can just set it right also. So Vishaya Vinivartante, but Sri Krishna is describing in response to Arjun's question, what is that Atma Sakshatkari person like, or Bhagavad Sakshatkari, or Paramatma Sakshatkari, the self-realized woman or the God-realized lady? What does she eat? So he's responding to different, and showing in different ways. In this verse, he's saying, well, Arjun, Vishaya, objects, sensory objects of enjoyment. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, right? The object of my ear, whatever it would be, what do I hear? Hearing, whatever I hear. The object of my eyes would be, what do I see? The object of my tongue would be, what do I taste? Or the object of my skin would be, what do I feel? Sparsha, right? And the object of my nose would be, what do I smell? It would be agarbatti, for example, or perfume, or all of these topics are succinctly covered in the Gita, by the way. The difference between perfume and dhupati comes in the 6th chapter also. Punyo gandha prathivyamcha tejas chasmi vibhava. So, and he suggests that the closer to the source you go when we eat our food, organic, right, non-GMO, vegetarian, the closer we go to the source. Even the agarbatti, rather than perfumes and chemicals, if you punya gandha, Prithvi has punya gandha. The planet itself has very beautiful perfume, like Rar, Oud, and all those, right? Like the perfumes. The closer you go to the source, the closer it will bring you to the original goodness. But that's in the 6th chapter. We're still in the 2nd chapter. You will see me jumping from this chapter to that chapter and that, because we're not bound by we're not following anyone. We're just doing our own thing, right? Because we want to take our own shortcuts. We want to reach where we want to go quickly, even though we're driving slowly. I have a teenage son, and I've been saying to him since childhood, his name is Kanha, like Krishna. Kanha, slow down if you want to get there quicker. Slow down if you want to reach faster. Because he's always in a hurry and multitasking, monkey tasking, this, that, running around, and in the process forgetting and tripping and this. So just if you slow down, you will get there faster. And for the longest time, he did not understand that. Like, what's he talking about? Old man, deluded. How can I slow down to get there faster? I told him, you'll understand the wisdom behind it someday when you grow up. That someday has not yet come, but I know it will. And so we are slowing down so we get there quicker. Because there's just a few things that we have to understand. We have to get right. There's just a few questions we have to answer, and the whole work is done. First question is, who am I? They're completely confused, completely wrong about who we think we are. Completely as in 100% wrong. Who we are.
We are consciousness, right?
Well, I'm just asking the question right now, and I'm not expecting you to answer either. Don't rush to answer. Slow down, right? So who am I? Who is God? Would be the second question we want to know. The sub question: is there even God? Like, is this even real? Like, is there God, or is it just made up? Who am I? Who is God? The third question is: if God exists? What is my relationship to God? How am I related? Is he the stone statue in the mandir? Or is he an old man with a white beard in the heaven? Or is he the one who makes all the rules and says, thou shalt, you will do this, you will that? Who is God? What is my relationship with God? Mm-hmm. And then the fourth question, there's only 4 questions we have to answer, and you can be self-realized and God-realized and whatever realized. The fourth question is, then what do I do? How do I live the rest of my life? How should it show up in my behavior? Because all the knowledge of the world is useless if it does not show up in the behavior. If I don't behave like I'm speaking, then it's useless. What's the point? Then I still have worries if it's not coming in my behavior, right? Who am I? Who is God? What's my relationship with God? Once I've understood the answers to these 3 questions, the fourth and final question, okay, then what do I do? The remainder of how do I live? The Gita does answer all 4 of those questions very quickly, just in 700 verses, in 700 shlokas, not 18,000, not 84,000, and not thousands and thousands, in 700 verses. Answers all 4 questions and leaves you fully satiated, which is why this is important to. Baki, the movie, see what, if you want to see the movies and want to hear the bhajans and all that, but prioritize the Gita. And I often say that if you do a little bit of Gita and a little bit of Dhyan, that is a complete sadhana in itself. You really do not need any more than all the other goodness will come with it. You already have you will create your own mantra. That's how powerful it is. You will already know what is the best mantra for you. If you read a little bit of the Gita, and then do a little bit of Dhyan meditation on what you read. if you process what it is, if you internalize what it is. So give it a shot before you throw it, before you say, I'm not so sure, try it. And if you run into challenges, let me know. If you're having a hard time meditating, if you don't follow the Gita, let me know. I'm here to help as your brother. Right? So, and Richa Didi can share my contact information, or if you would like, we can add you to, we have a WhatsApp group, like everything else is a WhatsApp group.
They both are added.
Oh, okay. So great. So then you probably see here once in a while as well. So as your well-wisher, I cannot stress enough how important this is. And so here he's saying, Visha, the objects, vinivartante, the objects recede, the person who leaves, the people like brahmachari, sannyasi, well, I don't want to live with my wife, I want to leave my house. Yes, they're just, I want to leave everything, just find my cave in the Himalayas, and then go do my own meditation. Live in Maun, I want to live by myself, in reclusion. Sansar is bekar, I want to have nothing to do with it, all that, because I want to become realized, and I want to leave everything. So Krishna is saying, well, those who do that they move away from the objects, niraharasya dehina, like they stop taking in, but they're still thinking, ruminating inside. I hope my son is okay. I hope my wife got that, they figured out the CD or whatever, or the positive or negative, that I should have taught them this lesson before leaving, or I like this or that, right? So unless and until it actually recedes from the mind, unless and until it goes from within, the point is not to leave from without. I often say that there are two kinds of sansar. We hear that we have to detach from the world. We have to detach from the world. Sansar ka tyag karna hai, right? But there is no way to detach from the world. There is no way to sansar ka tyag kare to mar jayenge. How can we leave sansar? How can we even live if we leave sansar? As the scripture then pointed, well, there are two kinds of sansar. There's one that is outside, external sansar. And then there's one far bigger, far more powerful, that's inside. All of our concocted thoughts and ideas, and there's the imagined sansar. This happened and that happened, and I should not have done that, and they should have not said that, all that, right? Like, I wish this happens, I wish that happens, all the information, all that. That is the one that we have to detach from. Not, we don't have to run away from anyone. We don't have to sacrifice anything. We can, but Krishna is saying that it is very hard. Klesho hi adhikarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam is a verse in the 12th chapter. In Bhakti Yoga, Arjun asked, which one is superior? Which path is greater? Which is more efficient? Which will guarantee success to me? Nirakar, Nirgun, Brahma, Sadhana, that there's nothing, it's just void, it's formless, all that, or Sagun Sakar Sadhana, that there's formful, he has a name, and it's like a person, personal God or impersonal God, which one is easier? So Krishna gives a direct answer to it, saying, well, both can achieve me, but far easier is Sagun Sakar. The answer is not confusing. He's not political, he's not a lawyer. It doesn't say it depends. So, well, both will reach, but clearly, Sagun Sakar will get you there quicker, sooner. And the point there, this is in the Gita, and I have experienced it, that the more we personalize God, the more we create a relationship with God, the more we make God our own. So long as God does not remain someone else's, so long as God is not in the temple only, so long as God is not in India, or God is in heaven, or God is in Gokul, or Golok, or Saket Lok, Ram's Lok, or Devi Lok, or Shiv Lok. If God is all there, then what use is God for me? God is actually inside us, within us. We cannot run from God, and God cannot run away from us. That's how close. This is what the Gita will inform us in answering those questions. So he's saying that no need to shun the world, no need to run away from the world, no need to curse the world, no need to say sab bekar hai, sab kachra hai. It is not so. Everything is fine. The truth is opposite. Everything is good. Everything is right. Everything is fine. We internally have made it wrong, bad, not fine, and all of that. Externally, God is not an idiot, right? God is not stupid. God is not dumb to create the world as it has been created. God is not ignorant. God is not uncaring, thoughtless, that he's letting all these bad things happen. What's happening inside our own srishti, what we're creating inside within, with our own, in our own head, is something that we have to. So in this verse is saying, Vishaya vinivartante nirahara sedehina. That those who just leave externally, those who just run away, those who just abandon externally, bahar bahar se jo tyag kar dete hai, right? Nirahara sedehina. Well, they remove themselves from this subject, but the remembrance, the memories still remain, and they're still tortured inside. They're still tortured within. Oh, the good old days. Oh, when we were this, asatha, vasatha. The memories are still alive, and we're still living as if in those memories. So, for kya choda? What did we leave? If we're still living that world inside, we haven't really left anything. We haven't really sacrificed anything. We have really preserved it then inside, right? If we have. Rasavarjam rasopyasya param drashtva nivartate is the second line of this verse. And it says that, however, the sthita pragya, the grounded, the anchored, the God-realized person, the self-realized, Atma Sakshatkari, has received such high taste, higher taste, Atma Ras, the taste within, has become familiar with their own original nature, the Satchidananda Swarup. Rasopyasya param drashtva, they're able to see the higher. They having experienced the greater, they are no longer attracted to the inferior because they have tasted the superior. You know, like a child when they find the clay fruits, mitti ka aam, you know, like the toys, and they take that and licks it, thinking this is something juicy, this is something. A 1-year-old child, whatever you give, will just put it in their mouth, right? Because they're trying to understand it, taste it. And then what will the mother, bar bar sunini, if the child again and again goes and puts that clay toy in the mouth, a smart mother, intelligent mother would like give him the taste of a real mango. Like, listen, here's the real mango, taste this, child, right? And then put both mangoes and the child will throw that clay mango. I don't want this. This doesn't taste anything like this. That toy now is still there. In fact, there's so many more of those, and they're attractive in color, but they don't taste any longer as beautiful, as delicious, as good as the real mango that my mother, mummy ne jo chakhaya tha. So then, now I know what the truth is, where the real flavor is. So watch that, experiment with it. If you see some infants, then they'll automatically gravitate towards the real mango, the real flavor. And then they'll figure out automatically which one to, with the smell and with the taste. And so he's using that example here, saying because they have received the higher taste, once you have the higher taste, there is no way that you'll go back still to the lower taste. Because all we are trying to do in life is receive the higher taste. We think India was tough, so we came to America. Maybe there's more air conditioning here, there's bigger cars here, bigger homes, all that. This will be the good life. We came here and found out the truth. Then yeah, all that, but this isn't quite exactly the highest taste possible. They say maybe heaven has that. People go to heaven, it comes in the Gita that then they are deluded there also. That even that is not it. Because these are all material, physical. The real taste. And then this is true of anything. How much can we eat, whatever we like? How much can we read? Any of that, right? The newspaper that, or the iPad, the news that was so exciting, the WhatsApp, subah utne ke baad, brush karne ke baad, before morning tea, like WhatsApp. Oh, bar, again and again, we don't go to it because, yeah, well, ho gaya, pad ke ho gaya. I'm no longer find joy in it. Then how is it? It's depleting joy. It's not undepleting joy. Our joy, inner joy, the joy of the self-realized person, the joy of the God-realized soul, is non-depleting, imperishable, akshay, forever, like that. Dine dine navam navam namami megha sundaram. Every day it grows. Not only is it the same, every time it actually grows. and it's also new. So such a joy that automatically grows and new and different, because you also want different. You don't want the same every day. Every day it comes across as, I'll give you Gita as the example. Every day you read the Gita, if you read even the same shlok, same chapter, some new insight will come to you. If you do dhyan, if you start the practice of meditation, it's not that, oh, well, I sit at the same place for the same 20 minutes. I just do the same thing, close my eyes. But the experience you'll have every day will be different. It'll be joyful. And the more you do, guaranteed it will grow. The joy will grow, the intensity will grow. And because it's bringing us closer and closer to the source. You have to try it. You have to give it a shot. You don't want to throw it away by, oh, I don't know, maybe not. Try it. Be open-minded. The only prerequisite for Gita is an open mind. So in this verse, it says, like, if you do you speak Hindi or English only? Well, both, okay. But you are English, okay. So Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. Yeah. Yes, please.
When we talk about joy, right?
Yeah.
What things we can define for the joy? Like if we are talking about the truth joy, how will we define? I mean, it is a very easy, but not for me. I don't, if you say that, I don't know what is a joy. How you will be defined? This is a joy and this is a truth joy.
Yeah.
Like that's how we can feel it.
Sure. So I'll give the short answer now.
Yeah.
And then we will see when the long answer comes up. What's the real joy? What's the biggest joy? What's the highest joy? The short answer, in my opinion, in my experience, is that a joy like which you have never experienced before is one. And the second aspect is, this also comes from the Gita itself, but it's also lived experience. The second facet of it is that joy which is completely independent of external stimulus. That joy which is not coming because I heard something, or I saw something or someone, or I ate something, or I smelled something, or I tasted something, or I felt someone. I held someone close to me. The joy that is completely independent, free from external stimuli.
And that is a very personal thing. Like every person has a different truth.
It's spiritual joy. It's the all material joy, any physical joy. Joy, as we know joy to be today, without experiencing the truth, is material, is physical. You take any joy as an example. It is associated somehow with either some memory of a person, or something we ate, or something that we got, or right now we are with someone, we're looking at someone we really like just came to our home, or something, the taste is really delicious, or someone is praising us, or we look really pretty in the mirror, or the sari is good, whatever. It's got to be coming from some physical object, between shabda, sparsha, roop, ras, gandha, right? Word, sound, happy because of some sound, sparsha, happy because of some touch, roop, happy because of some sight, like vacation, Hawaii, Molokai, Alaska, whatever, right? Whatever you like, or India, or our own home, or our child, whatever it is. Shabda, sparsha, roop, rasa, taste, bhojan, the swadishta, mishtan, like sweets and pakode and all that, or whatever else, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, all of it. And then gandha, perfume, this, that, agarbatti.
So yeah, in a way, can we say that whatever pleasure that we get from our senses, 5 senses, they are not the real joy. And whatever pleasure that we are getting not for these senses, which is the spiritual one,
Right.
that is beyond these 5 senses, that is a real joy, right?
Yeah. So, and you call it right, pleasure, right? That's really not even joy. It's sukha jise kehte hain na. There is a world of difference between sukh and ananda, right? Sukh is just a stimulus. It's a reminder. So yes, the answer to your question is a clear yes, and I'll shed more light on it. I also want to say, Sanjeev, by Gita Ben, if any of you were opening basically for a Q&A type of conversation, feel free to unmute yourself and participate in it as well. And my apologies, I'm off video.
No, we are enjoying the conversation. discourse. We are really, truly enjoying the discourse. Please continue.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I think the real joy is also something that stays with you once you experience it. The other joy, probably from what I understand, is momentary, because once that stimulus goes away, the joy disappears. But the one that you experience spiritually stays with you. Is that
excellent. That's a great reminder. Yes, indeed. Indeed. All of it is, and so really all of this takes us to such, I was avoiding going there because it's a long conversation, but I guess we're being forced towards it. The Satchidananda Swarup, the Sat aspect of the Ananda, like Purvivan is saying, the eternality of it, permanent nature of it, non-degrading, kabhi kam nahi hoga, non-depleting, right? That it stays the same. And in fact, like I said, the Nirgun Nirakar ka Ananda stays the same. If you love God, it's not just you worship God or if you respect God, if you actually love God, it actually grows, not just stays the same. Purvivan stays the same is great, awesome, but even that could be boring, except for some. But in love, if you've experienced love, even material love, even physical love, loving your boyfriend when you were young, or your husband, or your children, or your mother, your father, any love, right? Like bachche jab hote, mother loves children. It grows, doesn't it?
yes?
Love actually grows. वो इतनी दुश्मनी मस्ती करते हैं सब, like they act like our enemies, but still our love for them increases. So even that still is material joy. So the love characteristic is such that it continues to manifest in different forms. And so the joy that is born out of love is the closest example that I can give. So let me get to answering the question again. So external stimuli se jo independent hai. Bahya sparsheshu asaktatma vindatatmani yatsukam. This is a verse in the 4th chapter. Bahya sparsha, independent from external stimuli, not dependent on anything outside of me. My body is also outside of me. If I am inside my body, right? If I'm in my body, if I'm in my clothes, then the clothes are outside of me, the clothes that I'm wearing. But if I am in me, my body is outside of me. So not so much so that I don't even depend on my body for the joy when bahaya sparsheshu asaktatma, no longer obsessed, asakta, no longer compelled by any external experiences, whether it's from any of those 5 different categories, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Sattatma, Vindati Atmani Yatsukam. This is from the Gita itself, that enlightened within inside, Atma Sukham. They found its own joy, that when the soul has found its own original nature, that I am made of joy. When sugar no longer begs others to make it sweet. When sugar doesn't say, hey, Rasgulla, can you please, everybody's saying Rasgulla meetha hai. Can you please make me sweet? Hey, Gulab Jam, hey, Srikhanda, hey, Puran Puri, can you make me sweet? Everybody laughing at the sugar, singing, Mosi, you made us sweet. What are you talking about? We became sweet because hum to aise hi pade the, dal thi, koi khana nahi tha. You were added to us. That's when we became sweet. You are sweetness. You're nothing but sweet. You don't need any sweetness. Wherever you go, wherever you touch.
Such a perfect example.
Yeah. Right. So when that happens, so these bahya sukha jo hai, the dependence, they're mere reminders. When you place a rasgulla on your tongue, the 10,000 sensors are merely reminding you of your joy. There's no joy in them. It's milk, it's butter, it's sugar, whatever, but not joy. It is sweet and all that, but not joy. Joy is spiritual. Joy is immaterial. Joy cannot be touched. Joy cannot be held. Joy cannot be seen. So how is it? How is there joy in Gulab Jam? Or how is joy in any touch? Or how is there joy in the mountain that you see? Or the ocean ko dekh ke bada aanand aa raha hai. Ocean mein kaisa aanand? Khara pani hai, डूबे मर जाएंगे, right? Pani bharega to salt water se. Lekin it's reminding me of the joy within me, inside me. And therefore I am carrying that joy wherever I go, whether I'm in Molokai or Sahara, desert mein ho, wherever. So that reminder, the external stimuli.
Very beautiful answer. I really like that way you explain.
So when you realize that, oh my God, I am that sugar, I am the joy, I do not depend. मैं किसी की slave नहीं हूँ. I no longer depend on someone praising me I no longer depend on someone acknowledging me. I no longer depend on the thumbs up and the likes. I no longer depend on someone saying, oh, bahut achhi gift di, and we're using it there. I no longer depend on making sure that they actually kept it and did not give the gift away to someone. I no longer depend on anything or anyone because I found my joy within, and the only thing left to do is give joy. I'm overflowing with joy. The only job for sugar is to give sweetness wherever it is put, right? Is that no longer seeking it? That is Ananda. That is your original nature. During Dhyan, that I will celebrate you. This is the best you that can be possible, that is made. There's only one of this on the planet. And such pity, how sad it is that you're trying to change yourself. You're trying to be someone different. You're trying to impress someone else, showing, no, man, I'm not this way, that way. God, your goddesses, if you can be yourself, that the power that you'll experience, the joy that you will feel will be incredible because you will have gone to your original source. And that's the Satchidananda Swarup of the Atma, in which there is no woman and there is no man. It's because it's not a body, it's not physical, there's no gender. It is spirit, it is soul, it is Atma, right? It's way beyond that. So the Sat in Satchidananda is like Purvi Ben was saying, the permanence. Sat does not mean truth. Truth is a small shred, small fabric. It's the whole carpet is laying around here. And if I pick up a small thread of the carpet, that's not the entire carpet. It is, but it is from the carpet. It has the same composition of the carpet that belongs to the carpet. Like the truth, sach bolna chahiye, satya bolna chahiye, satya vachan. That's a small fabric of satya, which is eternal, omnipresence, permanence. That's your nature and my nature. That's who we are. So it's like,
So what is truth in that case? If we are saying that we should say truth, what is truth then? For every person has a different point of truth. If I'm saying something, another person can say that, okay, I'm not agree, this is not true. But I cannot say another person is saying this is not true and I'm saying that is. How we will be defined what is true?
yeah. So all of those, there's different ways of.
Jitubai, we didn't understand the question, Jitubai.
Oh, sure. So the question.
Thank you.
The question was, I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Kirti.
Kirti Ben asked, the question is, so what is truth? How would we define truth? Someone is saying this is the truth. Someone else is saying that's the truth. Which one is the truth, right? Sort of, right? That's the question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because see, for example, if Richa is saying something,
yeah,
for their point, it is true.
Yeah.
If I'm saying something from my point where it is a truth.
Yeah.
She's
It
talking
could
about
be-
perception.
Yeah.
Perception. I'm
Everybody's
talking
truth,
about.
right?
But if you are talking about truth, what is the truth?
Yeah.
If
What is
you
fun?
will know that, you will not be here. You
So,
will be-
but she wants to know that.
Yes,
the big
that's
deal
why
is,
that's
right?
why I want to hear, because
Yeah.
since childhood till now, our parents and everybody, we just say that we should speak truth.
Yeah.
This is the truth.
Yeah.
We always say that, okay, if something we are lying, that is not truth.
Yeah.
But whatever I'm saying from my point of view,
Understood.
that is truth.
Yeah.
But it could not be truth from her point.
It may or may not be.
May or may not.
Right.
So
I
if
understood.
you're talking about that is a truth, what is a truth?
So, and that's exactly what I was saying, that truth, spoken truth, the true word, shabda, and that is a small matter of, like, that's not what truth, that's not what sat implies. Satchidana mein jo sat hota hai na, that's far greater than truth. Speaking the truth is a small matter of it. The sat is something that never changes, right? The something, whatever it is, that never changes. It is impossible to change. Would not truth be like that? Can truth really change? No matter what it is, truth perception changes. Truth does not, right? How you see it, right?
The reality
The
doesn't change.
reality doesn't change. How we think about it changes. How we see it changes. Whatever the truth was, whether this happened or did not happen, was the truth. Even that is material. Let me give you an example. When we are dreaming, right, from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the night, you heard this before.
Yes, it's a perfect example, please.
And in the dream, there is someone who is always truthful, who really speaks the truth, because uske maa baap ne bataya, jhoot nahi bolna bachche, sachhi bolna. And that person is always speaking the truth. There is another person in the dream who's always lying. It's like always lying in the dream. And there is a third person who's like sometimes tell the truth, sometimes tell the lie, depending on what's in it for me, with them, right? If speaking the truth is beneficial, I'll speak the truth. If lying is beneficial, I'll lie. So you have all three characters in your dreams, Paul, and they're all behaving this differently. Is any of that true? Is any of that real?
No.
None of those are real. In their dream, the most truth committed person is as unreal as the dire liar is, and everyone in between. If there were 100 different characters, all of them are unreal. So there is the truth and there is the reality, right? There's a world of difference between truth and reality. ऐसे ही सत्य और सत्य में बहुत जमीन आसमान का फर्क है. Satya, so in my dream, everybody is speaking the truth. Let's say everybody is like Gandhiji, always speak the truth. But they're all unreal because it was a dream. I had made them up. And they are in me. They were always in me. They're still in me when I'm dreaming. And when the dream finishes, they went back to me. What's the point of saying these were they were speaking the truth?
And what is the point of fighting over it, that who was the liar and who was the...
But when you realize that it was the dreamer alone in
Yes.
all the dream characters, and the point was not the dream, the point is the wakeful moment. सपने में जो उसका कोई मतलब ही नहीं था. सपने में, even if you win the lottery, the jackpot, or even if you lose both your arms in the dream, it doesn't matter because none of this was real either way, anyway. The only thing that matters is what is the truth in reality. What is the truth when you wake up? That's when you realize that all the dream characters were unreal. I alone had made them. It was just me. And now मेरी खोपड़ी में तो सब उधर से उधर गए चले गए. I alone was it, and the truth is, so two realities are existing simultaneously. For the dreamer, from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., oh my God, all this ghamasan yuddha chal raha hai, bahut tamashe ho raha hai, bahut gadbad ho rahi hai, or everything is falling in place, such beautiful life, my kids are listening to me, this, that, all that. That is the truth. That for that person, you cannot tell them that this is not the truth. Like we've all dreamt, that is the truth. And yet the person sleeping next to that person, if they are awake, it's like none of the, you're laughing in your dream, or you're crying in your dream, or you're afraid in your dream, you're talking in your dream, but none of this is real. When I wake you up, I'm like, oh my God, what was I seeing? None of this was true. Same time, same 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. There were two different realities, were they not? One was the lower truth, the other was the higher truth. The higher truth included the lower truth in it. That nothing is happening. It's in the wakeful moment included that, yeah, but within it, the subset is the dream is also happening. Lower truth cannot include the higher truth, but the higher truth includes the lower truth. So the lower truth is called Satya. आज तक जो सत्य 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 सुनते आए, सच बोलना सच बोलना सच बोलना, उसकी ज्यादा कीमत नहीं है. थोड़ी सी वैल्यू उसकी, like it is only as valuable as the truth in the dream is. That's not the point. That's not the absolute, because that is relative. It depends. That depends on the judge and on the jury, on the perspective, on the time, desha, kala, patra. It depends on three aspects at all times. What's true here may not be held true in India. Now, this is right or wrong, good or bad. इस देश में जो true वो उस देश में नहीं necessary हो सकता. What was true 1,000 years ago may not be true now, may not be considered as the truth here, reality, right? And patra, people, person, like you said, her perspective may be the opposite of your perspective. Her reality might be different. That's not how she experienced it. You thought it was so good, it was so real. कोई बनाते घर में कोई, someone said, wow, this is so delicious, and someone says, I don't like it.
It's a perfect example is that I'm sitting in US, I can say it's afternoon, and the same person in India can say that. It's
So
night.
which one is the truth? Is it afternoon or
actually
evening?
both are true.
And so you have to accept, okay, ठीक है, लेकिन but in reality, then if you have the higher perspective, सूर्य की दृष्टि से ये तो मजाक है, afternoon है, evening है, तो
From the perspective of sun.
yeah, there's always light. There's always light. There is no darkness. अंधकार नहीं है, है ना?
And
जिसमें
neither
प्रकाश है.
sunsets, no.
There is no sunrise, there's no sunset, there's just the sun, right? Rising and setting is a matter of perspective, it is relative, it is not absolute. So the rit is the absolute, jisko kehte hain, but the final one, something that never changes, right? Relative to that, everything is measured and monitored on that. Those are little satya. My little satya is different, can be different from your little satya, can be different. My own satya today may have been different from my satya 10 years ago. My satya in the US could possibly be different from my satya. It depends on the circumstances, desh kal patra. But Rita never changes. Ritambhara pragya is the aphorism in the Upanishad kehti hai. Ritambhara pragya. Pragya is our intellect, is our faculty to understand, is our ability to know. Fill that with Rit. Ritambhara pragya ho jati hai. Sakshatkar ke baad Upanishad says, the enlightened one, the pragya is filled with Rit, no longer Sat. Rit accepts Sat. That's why Jesus Christ said, forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they are doing. The enlightened one becomes forgiving. Buddha was an embodiment of Kshama, Daya, Shanti, right? Uski kitni bhi ninda kare, sant logon ko kitni bhi gali de, they know how to forgive. They, right? There's 100 examples of saints in India.
Mira was the perfect example.
Mirabai, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Kabir ji, kitne unko ulane de, Nanak ji, South mein, North mein, East mein, West mein, Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Like there's no shortage of the enlightened ones. But then because in it is included, yeah, your truth. I know, bache, this is how you think. This is how much you know. This is how you feel. Sure, that's your truth. But they know that there is a greater truth. On Bhagavan Sri Krishna's last day on the earth, on the planet, the last man with him, Uddhav, right, is the closest ally. Uddhav Gita Sunil, Uddhav Ji. He was his cousin, Krishna's father, Vasudev's older son was Uddhav, who was older than Krishna, like older cousin. But he used to worship Krishna as his deity. He would never eat breakfast before touching his feet, worshiping him. He was also his mantri, like his minister. He was also his friend. He was like 7-8 years older than Krishna. But he used to think of Krishna as his God, his Lord. So, and he was an enlightened being. He was with Krishna until the last day, until the last hour was when Krishna was totally by himself. It was 1 hour before leaving this, Uddhav was with him. And he asked question after question. It was the greatest Q&A in history. Uddhav Gita is the greatest Q&A. In some ways, there's a lot of commonalities between Uddhav Gita and Bhagavad Gita, but it covers a wider spectrum by way of a Q&A. He asked many questions, and one of the questions he asked exactly what you asked, Didi Katiban. He says, well, so then ye Rishi ne
knowledge था, पर उनके पास वो भाव नहीं था, वो फील नहीं कर पाए थे जब वो वृंदावन जब उनको भेजा गया, गोकुल गए, उन चीजों को जब फील किया, then they understood what is a.
वो तो पहले हो गया था, right? अभी तो वो तो राधा को फिर गुरु मान के, ये I am talking about the last hour of Krishna, right? Last day, 1 hour. This is the end of story. Like everything is done, right? And one of the many questions he asked is, so what is the truth? Really, because ye Rishi ye kehte hain, wo Rishi Muni wo kehte hain. This one says this is the theory, that is the theory. Which one of them is right is what he asked. And so Krishna with a smile said, they're all right. They're all, sabka apni apni jagah par barabar hai. Unko ye samjha, that is true. And say, how so? How come? So when you're climbing a mountain, when you're at the foothills of a mountain, pahad ke niche ho, so you only see what's in front of you, just the mountain. You see nothing behind the mountain. You don't even see like on sideways as much. As you start climbing the mountain, if you go 1/4 of the mountain, you start your peripheral vision broadens. You see a little more on the side. You see a little farther. When you climb half of the mountain, you see like maybe 270 degrees, 180 degrees se zyada dikh raha hai. Not yet 360 degree, but you see broader. When you reach the pinnacle, the height, the peak of the mountain, and when you then look around, you see everything around the mountain. Either the side that you climb from, but also the side opposite. You see the India side, and you see the Afghanistan side, and you see the China side, and you see the Pakistan side. If you're truly on Everest, right? If there is clear vision, if there is visibility. इसके पहले जो नीचे थे तो नहीं दिखता था. We could only see what was the rock in front of us. And so the higher we climb in truth, when we reach the pinnacle, when we reach the peak of it, we see all of it. And then we say, yes, you are also right. Yes, you're also right. Yes, you're also right. Because where you are standing, I now know, having climbed the mountain, that that's all you see. And so therefore you're not lying, even though that is not the full truth. The full truth is greater. Then you become accommodating. Then you become inclusive. Then you know how to truly coexist. Then you only know how to love and give and accept and not contradict. There are no conflicts. They're all resolved after that. You only know how to bring everyone along, not फिर तोड़ना छूट जाता है, जोड़ना शुरू हो जाता है, right? Nothing is exclusive after that. Everything becomes inclusive. So that is Sat, the permanent, the eternality. Pragya जिसे कहा था. So before you all came, Richa, Didi, and we were talking about Ritambar, Rich, उसका नाम Richa है ना? वो रे से आता है ऋषि, Rishi, Richa, Rit, and we were just decoding that word, Sanskrit word, glorious word. So what? And now थोड़ी गीता अलग रहेगी. सत्य है. What do we do with that truth? What do we eat with it? उसका उपयोग क्या, फायदा क्या है? What's the point of it? खाली सत्य, truth alone is no good by itself. So if I say to you, your real nature is truth, that Rit, right? And you'll say, okay, well, understood, but I don't know what to do with it. Really, there is no use for it. Unless I told you, but it's not just that, it's a lot more than that. It is 100 times more than that. How so? You're not just Sat, you're also Chitta. Sat, Chitta. Chitta is a Chetana, is the illumination, is the ability to know. Chitta is consciousness, awareness, cognition. By the way, you can sit up on the sofa also. There's no rule. Make yourself comfortable. This is your session. So, the ability to know. Patthar agar pada hai, the stone laying in your backyard here in South Riding or Aldi, before this belonged to someone else, it belonged to someone else, Red Indians, hundreds of years ago, 10,000 years ago, that rock was still sitting there. So, but the rock doesn't know anything. The rock doesn't even know itself that I'm a rock. But we are different. We are also permanent, but we know. We have the ability to cognize. We have the ability to understand, to comprehend, right? That is the Chaitanya, that is the Chetana. We are alive. The rock is not alive. The stone is Jada. We are Chetan, right? And so this is not only that will I not ever die, but not only will I always exist, I also know, because I am that ability to know. I am that power to know. And so now I'm going very fast. This takes a while to unravel. And if you said, okay, that's fine, I will always exist and I will always know, so what? It's still boring. And just I will always live and I will always know. I don't know what to do with it still. What says, well, it's still more than that, 1,000 times more than that. Your ananda, your joy, you will experience. Not only will you always exist, you'll also always know, and you will always also be joyful, blissful, because you are made of joy. You are joy. You bring joy. Whatever you think is joyful is because you mixed with it. If you did not mix with it, the Rasgulla, the Gulab Jam, the Hawaii, the Alaska, the good, nice music, if you weren't there, it was not joyful. It could not be joyful.
We are sugar.
Yeah, you make it joyful. You bring joy. They remind you of your original nature. They serve simply as a reminder, external reminder. And so going back a very long way to answer your question. So what is then that? You say, what is the real joy? What is the truth? When you experience joy within yourself, that it's completely detached, disconnected from all external stimulus. Nothing outside can make you unhappy. No matter what happened, no matter what the conditions are outside, your conditioning has changed such that you're situated in joy. No matter who says what to you, no matter who does what or does not do what, no matter what happens, your joy is unshakable. When your joy never depletes, that is, and it does not expect anything to happen. Expectation free, judgment free, stimulus free, condition free, jab ho jayega, that you will have then reached your source. That is sakshatkar, that you will have realized that, oh my God, all this time I alone was. It was just me. And I was just begging. I was begging in India and I wasn't getting enough. So I came to the US and I started begging here. And now sometimes when I am done begging here, I take a vacation, go back to India for shopping and this and that. Begging, begging, begging. Will I find joy here? Will I find joy there? Will I find joy in this? Maybe this person will give me joy. Maybe my husband will give me joy. Maybe my wife will give me joy. Maybe this, that. And I keep going around and round, round. एक बार अगर आनंद मिल जाता था, ये सुख 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 के पीछे एक बार अगर मिल जाता था, तो like Purvi Ben reminded us, कहीं जाएगा नहीं फिर वो. It's with us because it's Sat. Now remember, Ananda is Sat. And you will always know, you'll never forget. It will never degrade because it's also Chit. Ananda is permanent and Ananda is consciousness. It's conscious, it knows itself. And that is the glory, that is the reward of pursuing your original nature. See, now we have to reduce all this external drama about all this. Now, isko dhire kam karte karte, you don't have to all completely leave it, but we can certainly reduce this. We can only give so much time. We can reduce the time we indulge in externalities. Bahya sparsheshu asaktatma. Bhagavan Krishna's words, powerful words. Bahar ke sparsha se, external stimulus se, no longer obsessing over those, becoming free from the dependency on those, is when in the 6th chapter, then there's another shlok that he uses, yam labdva cha aparam labham manyate na adhikam tata. Yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunam avivichalate. Arjun, you'll have such a joy. Having reached it within yourself, you'll find so much joy, the fountain, the source of joy. Jisko pakar yam labdva cha aparam labham. You will know no bounds. You will not have experienced such joy. It will not deplete anywhere. You will not have to do anything. It is so efficient. Wherever you are, however you are, no action, no expectation, nothing to do is what you will experience. And such unshakable that even the greatest of calamity, the biggest of insults, the greatest of nuksan will not diminish one bit of that joy from you. Because you will be detached from what is happening outside. You will no longer hate anything outside. You will no longer run away. You will no longer be afraid of anything outside. You'll be fine wherever you are, however you are, because you will have found your joy within. That you must have. Why should you not have it? Why should you not have it? Why should it just be mine or someone else's? Because if we're meant for that, if we're one, if we're all the same, and we are, that is the truth, that we're all the same, we're all one, and we're identical, we're not different, we're connected, we're not disconnected. In spirit, right? Physically, we are disconnected and different, but we're not physical anyway in the first place. That was the biggest mistake, to think that we're physical. Ye kapde jo pehne, ye kapda main nahi hona. So in the morning when I woke up, I was wearing something else. In the evening, I'll wear something else. Or for work tomorrow, I might wear something different. I am not the clothes like that. I'm not the body that I'm wearing. The real me is inside the clothes, and the real me really is inside the body. Even the body is outside of me. And so I have to free myself from my attachment to my body also. Never mind if the hair is growing white or however, right? Or if there's wrinkles. I have to detach from my body. I have to detach from my mind as well. I already am detached. I don't even have to do anything. I just have to realize it. Hence realization. I just have to practice it. I just have to behave in that manner, right? I just have to bring it into practice. And it is possible. The Gita is the best tool for that. It's the swiftest, the most efficient, the easiest, and the quickest. And so he's saying in this shlok to start wrapping up. How are we doing on time? I think we've got, we've got a little bit of time. Maybe we'll do one more verse and then we can finish it. So in this shlok, he was saying those who have reached that state no longer run away from anything or anyone. because they have detached it, right? Vishaya vinivartante nirahara sadehina. Those who are still attached to physical, dehi, deha, जो शरीर के साथ जो जुड़े हैं, they just, poor people, they just try to detach from everything outside of their body, but they're still attached to their body, and therefore wherever they go, they carry all the baggage with them. But those who have succeeded in detaching from their body, those who have realized that they are not the body. This is answering the question, who am I? Pehla jo prashna tha. Well, I haven't really answered who am I, I've answered who you're not, right? Not the body, not the mind. And we're starting to,
That's good, yeah, that's niti.
yeah, but far superior is iti, right? Na iti, the endless, not this, not this, not this. But we started to answer then, who are you? Satchidana, your original nature. That there are some reflections that are posted on the YouTube that I can send that go more through the details of it, like how we are connected with God, how we are one with God, and in fact how we don't even exist, that God alone does. Achintya bheda bhed siddhanta ke anusar, Gauranga Mahaprabhu ka. But the next shlok, maybe today's last shlok, is yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschita indriyani pramatini haranti prasabham manah. विपश्चित जो है, हे अर्जुन, हिंदी में अगर पढ़े तो आसक्ति का नाश न होने के कारण प्रयत्नशील स्वभाव वाली इंद्रिया यत्न करते हुए, प्रमथन स्वभाव वाली इंद्रिया यत्न करते हुए बुद्धिमान पुरुषों के मन को भी हर ले जाती है. Even if we cannot detach from our senses, if we still remain attached to this shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, right? If we're still enamored with the objects, if these are still important to us, then even if we try, as hard as we may try, we'll get frustrated. We have to cut it at the root. We'll get frustrated. Yatato hi api kaunteya. Yat karna, yatna, prayatna, right? Effort, trying is yatat. Hi api, like even if they try hard, Kaunteya, Arjun, Kunti Putra Arjun, Kaunteya, right? This Kunti's son is Kaunteya. Yatato hapi Kaunteya Purushasya Vipaschita. Those who are starting to understand, those are starting to know what the truth is, they try hard, but they're not able to. All their efforts are frustrated. Indriyani Pramatini. Why? Who frustrates in their senses? They have detached from everything. They've left their family. They've left their home. They've worn bhagavad gerwe vastru pen ke. They've gone to the Himalaya. They've shaven their heads and they will bhiksha mang ke jite. They've left everything and yet they are frustrated. They're not able to still achieve anything, really, the mission of that. Why? Because they have not yet detached from their own senses. And so they're carrying the entire baggage with them. They think I have detached from everything and everyone. You really have detached from nothing and no one. Wherever you're going, as long as you're still attached to your senses, the sensory experiences, as long as you think you're still dependent on those, as long as you're still dependent on you are dependent on the body, as long as you think you're the body, as long as you're attached to the body, right? जब तक शरीर के साथ हमारा रिश्ता जुड़ा हुआ है, we identify. What I'm trying to say, as long as they're still identified with the body, as long as they still think I am the body, these are my eyes, this is my nose, and this is what I'm seeing, as long as that's still the truth, they're still in the dream. In the dream, they have left their home and they've gone to Himalayas, but they're still in the dream. Then they really have left nothing. They have not woken up. Jagrat nahi hue abhi bhi so rahe hai. The enlightened one, the illumined one has woken up. The entire dream has vanished. It goes nowhere. What happens when you wake up? Where does the dream go? It vanishes. How does it vanish? Nothing happened. It wasn't even there. There was nothing to vanish. Where did the elephant and the mountain and the river and the bird and the bicycle go from the dream? Where vanished? What do you mean vanished? Where did it go? It went where it came from. Well, where did it come from? It neither came from anywhere, nor did it go anywhere. It wasn't even there. Momentarily, it was a make-believe experience. It was concocted, it was a made up, it was an imagined experience. There's no truth to it.
It's like illusion.
Yeah, it was illusory. जिसको माया कहते हैं. Mithya, sansar mithya hai, which means that it was not before and it will not be before. It appears to be right now, is mithya. Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. Adi Shankaracharya is a famous Pramukh Siddhanta. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. The Brahma alone, Brahma Dev nahi, Brahma the demigod hai, jisne banaya Brahma Dev. Brahma, like the one that pervades it all. Brahma is जैसे विष्णु विश्व के अणु में व्याप्त वो विष्णु. Anu is atom, right? The one who exists, vyapta is spreaded, pervading. The one who pervades in every atom, not just the body, not just the man or the woman or the dog, every atom pervading, vyapta. His name is Vishnu. So the Brahma is the one that's the cosmic power, cosmic energy. So Adi Shankaracharya in his Advaita Siddhanta said his truth was that he experienced and propagated is Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. He used that word specifically. Jagat is Mithya. Jagat. Ja Janmavachak hai. Janma hai. Agata ho raha hai. Pasar ho raha hai. It's depleting, going away, moving away. Bacha, the kid is born. I was born. The moment I was born, I'm going away. I'm starting to deplete, degrade, vanish, right? And Shankaracharya reminded us, pointed to like everything in the world. Everything in the world is like that. Hence, Jagat. Janma to hai, lag raha hai, lekin gat, uski durgati ho rahi, gati, it's finishing, it's vanishing. And so, Jagan Mithya, he used the word. So then asked, so what is Mithya? The Mithya, that which never was, that which never will be, it momentarily appears to be. How come? The wave never was a wave before, will not be a wave before. Momentarily, the wind gust has pushed it. It looks like a form of water. That's not. It looks like, oh, ye bilahari kitni sundar lag rahi hai. Whoa, big waves, long waves, all that. There's no such thing as a wave independent of the water, independent of the ocean, momentarily appearing to have taken a form to which I gave a name called a wave. Before the wave formed, it was just the ocean, the water. After the wave crashes on the rock, nothing will happen to it. It will not die. It will remain its original form. When I die, I don't die. The body will crash and break. I was there before this body was formed. I am even now when this body exists. And I will be there still just the same glorious, even after this wave breaks, crashes on an ocean, on a rock, right? The jewelry did not exist. First, it was only gold, right? It was gold. You took it to the goldsmith and you can naak ki bana do, kaan ki bana do. It became a jewelry. And though toot gaye to fir se leke gaye, iska abhi kangan bana do, bangadi bana do, anguti bana do. So the jewelry did not exist before and will not exist after. It was throughout gold, before the jewelry, after the jewelry. Gold alone existed. It changed its form. Depending on the form, you gave it a different name. Haath ka hai, pair ka hai, naak ka hai. Oh, sona to sona hai, waisa ka waisa tha, aise hi. So are we, so are you, so am I. अभी स्त्री है, अभी पुरुष है, भाई है, बहन है, पति है, पत्नी है, बूढ़े है, जवान है, all that. This is just the jewelry, the form. उसको नाम रख दे उसके ऊपर से. This misidentification, thinking that I am only this, I am this limited, is the biggest sin, is the biggest mistake, is the biggest confusion, out of which are born all the sorrows, all the miseries, all the anxieties, all the insecurities. That I want this to stay, I want this to remain. Oh, mother, this will never stay. It's impossible for it to remain. But don't worry about it. It has nothing to do with you. You have nothing to do with it, right? If I were to tell the water in the wave, don't attach too much to the wave form. This wave form will never remain. But don't worry. You were there before this wave formed. You will be there even if this wave crashes in 1,000 pieces. In every little drop, you will exist still the same, right? So why worry? And not only that, you'll become another wave when another wind comes. And that's our original nature. So we've answered who we are not the body, not that misidentified. And what we have to do is disidentify from that. Usko chhodna hai, that identity. And then re-identify with our original nature. We talked about who are we, the Satchidananda, the principle, the spirit soul that we are. In the 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga, Atma Sanyam Yoga, Sri Krishna defines yoga very beautifully. A unique definition of yoga can only come from God. And it says, Tam Vidya Dukkha Sanyoga Viyoga Yoga Sannitam. Sanya is definition in Sanskrit. Sankhya, Sanya. That Krishna says to Arjun, I define my definition of yoga is this. Yoga milan, otherwise jud jana Bhagwan ke saath, like becoming one with God, realizing that I never existed. I thought I existed. It was God only who existed. God alone exists there. So he says, in that state of mind, once you're united with God, once you personalize God, once you have fallen in love with God, once you become so one with God that for you have forgotten you and God alone remains, right? Which, by the way, is the truth, the supreme truth. We may not know now. They said that skill, vidya is skill. That skill, yoga is that skill of uniting such with God, like welding. Do ke ek ho jate, welding kar deta, no? That in which you have disconnected from all grief. Tam vidya dukkha sanyoga viyoga yoga sannitam. Ki abhi dukha se sanyog ho gaya, we're plugged into grief. Always some insecurity, some frustration, some anger. There's always some problem. There's always something that's not right. There's always something to fix. If not in others, then in ourselves. If not in us, then in someone else. So you just dukha ki paristhiti hai. It is that skill, it is that mental conditioning which it permanently disconnects us. Dukkha sanyogat viyoga yoga sannyam. When we're disconnected, unplugged from all anxiety, unplugged from all insecurity. That is yoga, is how Krishna defines it. Sanishchayena yoktavyo yogo nirvinna chetasa. That's the second verse of that line there. Second line of the verse there. That this becomes firmly grounded, established in the head of the enlightened one. Is how, so just to wrap up this shloka, then why does this happen? The one who has still identified with the body and gone away, because they have not yet disconnected from the body notion. Indriya is sensors, right? Or senses rather, the eyes and the ears and the nose. Indriyani pramathini haranti. Pramathan is like always shaking, always moving, always next, different, change. My eyes are not happy just watching paint dry. Oh, aankhon ko dekhne ki chahiye. I said, okay, well, here's, I painted the wall, sit here for 8 hours. You want to see something, right? Like just sit here and watch paint dry. No, I want something different. I want something more. I want something different to see. वही TV serial एक ही लगा दिया तो उसी को देखो रोज अच्छा लगा था. You like that show, right? That episode. Why did you watch the same episode every day if you liked it then? No. I want something different. Well, not only different, I want something more. It's the same with the nose. वही परफ्यूम ने 2-3-4 बाथरूम में खाया. मेडिसिन कैबिनेट में जाके देखा अलग-अलग परफ्यूम. इंडियन के लिए चंदन का परफ्यूम, इधर जाना हो तो उसका परफ्यूम, ये अगरबत्ती, वो अगरबत्ती, एक ही अगरबत्ती लगाया वैसे तो जो भी. ऐसे ही जीवा का है द रस. रोज दाल खिचड़ी खा, वो अगर दाल खिचड़ी अच्छी तो रोज दाल खिचड़ी तो कड़ी नहीं. नो, आई वांट फिर पकौड़े भी चाहिए, तला हुआ भी चाहिए, भुंजा हुआ भी चाहिए, मीठा भी चाहिए, खारा भी चाहिए. We want different and more. So they're never stable, indriya. Same thing with what we hear. वही सुनो गाना नहीं हो तो 10 बार गाना सुनने के बाद like some different song or more song. So that is the default setting. स्वभाव मतलब default setting. हमारा स्वभाव सच्चिदानंद है, को कहते हैं स्वभाव. एक this word will come frequently in the Gita. स्वभाव, अपने स्वभाव में जाना है. That what we have to do is we have to immerse in our own स्वभाव. स्वभाव, our own original, inherent, intrinsic quality, inherent nature. We have to immerse back in ourselves, our default setting, the way we were made, like I was saying in the dhyan in the beginning. Celebrate that. We don't want to change that. So, because we are so attached to our senses and they're never stable, they're always moving about and going around. If we are attached to it, we're also going to be shaken up and moving. But the enlightened one has detached, disidentified from those, and therefore remains stable. So we'll stop here. We'll pick up on 61 next time. We'll do a little bit of 5-6 minutes of dhyan, just to revise, go over what we heard, and then that's the conclusion of the program. And usually Richa Didi likes to share back what she heard, summarize it, and you're welcome to do that as well. But much to your relief, I close the Gita. This actually finished it. So I'm turning, if you can, and then we'll do dhyan. So jahan baithe jaise hai, if you're able to close your eyes for a few minutes.